This was a big week for Google in San Francisco as it rolled out a flurry of products and even included some extreme keynoting from its co-founder, Sergey Brin. I'm Dan Farber, and I'm joined by CNET's senior correspondent, Stephen Shanklin. What was the atmosphere there? It seemed like it was really crazy with all the skydivers and rappellers on the Moscone Center.
It was a big show. I've been to a lot of Google shows. I've been to a lot of keynotes. This one had over-the-top drama. There were people, worried, are these skydivers going to die? You don't get that kind of emotional engagement at most shows. You don't get it at an Apple show, that's for sure. You don't get it at a Microsoft show. So it had a very different flavor. It was, fun in a lot of ways. People were really, really enthusiastic.
But were they enthusiastic about more than the skydiving?
Yeah, fundamentally, in order to have a good trade show, you have to have news, you have to have solid information that people are interested in finding out about, and Google had that in spades. We had Jelly Bean, which is Android 4.1, a lot of new features. I kind of felt like...
and how does it compare to Apple's iOS at this point?
It's definitely, steadily a more reasonable competitor to iOS. I think iOS is still the market leader in a lot of ways, but Google is pushing ahead. I think, for example, the notifications that are now much more active in Android, that was an advantage that Android had over iOS before. They're now even more active. The Google Now feature, I think, is actually perhaps one of the most interesting one that plugs into your calendar, into your location, into everything that you do, and it feeds you information that it thinks you might need, and that's a very googly way of looking at what a mobile phone can do for you. So, they're real features that are coming out to people.
Now it seems that the big difference this year is that Google is turning into more of a hardware company. They introduced the Nexus 7, which is a 7-inch tablet. They introduced the Nexus Q, which is an entertainment center device. Is this more of what we should expect to see from Google in the future?
It's not clear exactly which way they're going to go to me. I think they're still trying to navigate some very choppy waters about whether they are the Android hardware supplier of choice or whether they're just one of many. Clearly, if you're an Android hardware company, you have to be really concerned when Google is competing directly with you. So that's going to be a big tension in the future, but they're not afraid to do it. Google, I think, fundamentally is much more about looking at the world and seeing where can technology disrupt things, where can we make a difference. And if they have to make hardware to do it, so be it. That's where, for example, Project Glass comes in. That was a very high interest item.
Well, let's talk about Project Glass. These are the glasses that you can navigate the world with, and I think that that's where Sergey Brin got on stage and talked about the glasses and said that they would be available to consumers in 2014. But is this something consumers would really want?
No. So here's what it is. So today they're computerized glasses. They have a processor in there. They're basically a lot of repurposed mobile phone technology. It's got a gyroscopic sensor. You move your head around. You flick your head up to turn it on. It's got a little tiny screen that hovers right above your eye. Tells you notifications, plays video, things like that. So they're trying to gradually use these to introduce more information into your life, which is what Google loves to do. And it's got a nice little camera so you can take pictures, which is their
But
big
will they sell
No.
millions and millions in 2014
Not at the
or
outset.
even 2020?
So next year they're going to sell them to developers for $1,500. I think that they're only aiming at a very enthusiast kind of an audience. This is nerd central, and I do not think this is going to be something that most people are going to really actively want for a while. Now it could be that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, it's just like a Bluetooth headset on steroids, and everybody just thinks it's the most normal thing, and that's obviously Google's vision, to sell this. But I think a lot of people look at this and say, boy, would I look like a dork, and would this would just interfere with my life. Do I want more electronic screens constantly telling me what's going on, a little earpiece speaking to me when I meet somebody? I think some technology people will be very enthusiastic about it. I think it's going to take a lot more work to win over mainstream consumers.
It might be a few decades, but it looks like eventually Google is going to have its way. What exactly is Google now? It seems to me that if you look at all the places they are in, for example, they just started to compete with Amazon with a new cloud service for developers. Are they the new Microsoft?
Well, I mean, Microsoft was willing to compete with a lot of different companies. They got reined in, slapped down a lot in the 1990s with the antitrust action. That kind of, I think it was chilling to Microsoft. And Google has been slapped down by some antitrust monopoly kinds of concerns. But it seems to me to be not daunted or deterred at all by those. It's got a very broad ambition to do lots of things. It used to be just a search engine. It looks to me right now that they just really have no limits on what they want to do. So I think that they are willing to compete with anybody and everybody. Amazon, you mentioned, they now have this cloud computing service that competes much more directly with Amazon's, which is very popular. And on the complete other side of the spectrum, they also significantly improved Google Play if you want to buy movies or if you want to rent a full season of some TV show and subscribe to magazines. That's straight down what Amazon is trying to do, and of course what Apple does with iTunes. So yes, Google is very willing to compete with anybody and everybody, including its own partners.
And they just bought Motorola.
Exactly, thus competing with competing with partners like Samsung and other Android people.
Well, thanks, Stephen.
Yes, thank you.
I've been talking to Stephen Shanklin. I'm Dan Farber. Thanks for watching.